thinking about traveling out of the United States in the near future, you may want to reconsider. A Webster native and current New Jersey resident planned a seemingly innocent vacation to Egypt, then made a last-second decision to stop in Italy before coming back to the States. But COVID seemed to have other plans. Meteorologist Gregory shares her story.
What started out as a simple getaway to Egypt turned into a much longer visit than Chelsea Polano intended. She started planning the trip nearly 8 months ago as COVID regulations were letting up and more people were getting vaccinated.
And the days leading up to the trip was when Omicron first started becoming more and more prevalent, and everyone was getting a little nervous. So more than anything, I was keeping my eye on the regulations. Can I get into Egypt? Can I get into Italy? Can I get into the United States when I'm done?
After spending a week in Egypt and a couple more days in Italy, on the morning of December 12th before flying home, she needed a negative test result to get on the plane and ended up testing positive for COVID despite being fully vaccinated, where she was then escorted by private ambulance to a government-sponsored hotel in Italy in order to quarantine. Little did she know she'd be stuck inside a room in a foreign country with no fresh air and meals delivered to her door for the next several weeks.
I tested positive again on day 10, and the doctor goes, okay, so you get your next test in 7 days. And I was like, what do you, no, I leave now, right? I leave now. And he was like, no, you can't leave until you have a negative test. And that was the first moment, like after being in quarantine for 10 days, that I really started to understand that I wasn't trying to meet United States entry requirements. I had to meet Italy's exit requirements for quarantine, which were a completely different ballgame.
Even though all you need for your ticket out of quarantine in the United States is a letter stating that you've quarantined, Italy's restrictions require a negative PCR test, which has been difficult to obtain due to the test's known sensitivity and affinity for putting out a positive test even well after the symptoms have stopped, according to the CDC.
I think the most emotional part of the whole thing was when I got the second positive test back, and just that realization that at that point there was no way in hell I was making it home for Christmas. I was very much clinging to that 21-day limit, for dear life. And once I found out it's indefinite, and, with, like I said, on the CDC website, it says it's very, you'll probably test positive for up to 90 days. And so, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, it's just this feeling of hopelessness that, like, I'm never going to be able to go home.
Chelsea hopes that by sharing this story, it will raise more awareness about COVID protocols and how they're different depending on where you're traveling, and the fact that you can still test positive for COVID even if you're vaccinated. Reporting in Rochester, I'm meteorologist Gregory.
Wow, Christine, such an important story. Thank you so much. And along with a negative COVID test, travelers flying into the U.S. do need proof of vaccination as well.